Hello girls, today we are going to see about static characteristics of a transistor in common emitter mode. So what is common emitter mode? When you see this circuit, base, collector and emitter, and this is the symbol for transistor. And suppose if the emitter is common to the both input and the output, then it is called a common emitter mode. Here E is at the center place, so it is called a common emitter mode. So here we are going to see about static characteristics. In order to find out the input resistance, output resistance and current gain, we are going to draw the static characteristic curves. So these are the important parameters of a transistor. So for a particular transistor, you have to find out the input resistance, output resistance and current gain. So the NPN transistor in the common emitter mode is, I have shown you in the diagram, and here you are having junction potential as VBE and collector emitter potential as VCE, and usually R1 and R2 they are used to vary the base current and collector current respectively. And so here when you see this circuit diagram, this is the circuit symbol for transistor, and in the input side here this left hand side is called input side and the right hand side is called the output side, and in the left hand side, that is input, you are having VBB, that is supply voltage, and R1 is a rheostat in the input side so that you can change the base current, and VBE is the junction potential between base and emitter, and that is voltmeter, and microammeter is placed here. This is in the input side. And in the output side you are having milliammeter because the current is increased. Here it is microammeter, here it is milliammeter, and VCE is used to find out the junction potential between the collector and emitter, and here the supply voltage VCC, and using the rheostat R2 you can change the values of VCE. So this is about the circuit diagram. And here you are going to study the static characteristic of a bipolar junction transistor. Here the characteristics are input characteristics, output characteristics and transfer characteristics. So input characteristics means you have to find out, you have to consider the left hand side of the circuit diagram. That is, you have to find out the relationship between base current and base to emitter voltage, that is IB and VBE, and here VCE is kept constant. So here to do the experiment, first you have to keep the collector to emitter voltage to a particular value. It should be above 0.7 volt because then only the transistor will begin to work. And by increasing the base emitter voltage, the corresponding base current is recorded, and you have to draw a graph taking VBE along x-axis and IB along y-axis. So for different values of VCE, the graph is repeated. This is the input characteristic curve of a transistor, and as I have told you, VBE is in x-axis and IB is along y-axis. You will get a curve like this. So initially the values are 0, then there is a sharp increase in base current. And when VCE is increased from 1 volt to 2 volt, IB will decrease. You see there is some reduction in the base current if VCE is increased. And here the following observations are made. So when you see this curve, this resembles the forward characteristic of ordinary PN junction diode, and there is a knee voltage, and when you see this is V knee, that is only above certain value the current will start increase, and so this is called knee voltage. This knee voltage is 0.7 volt for silicon and 0.3 volt for germanium transistors. And when you increase the collector emitter voltage, there is decrease in the base current. That is, when you increase from 1 volt to 2 volt, there is decrease in base current, and this is the there is a reason behind this. So when the collector emitter voltage increases, the width of the depletion region reduces the effective base width and thereby the base current. So when you see this is NPN transistor, suppose if you increase the collector emitter voltage, the base width will reduce. because of that the base current also reduces. And next, input impedance. And actually impedance means it refers the resistance of the circuit, and you know R is equal to V by I according to Ohm's law. From taking that as a basis, we can derive an equation for input impedance. So input impedance is given by this formula: Ri is equal to delta VBE by delta IB. Here VCE is kept constant, and when you write this in words, you can write the definition as the ratio of change in base emitter voltage delta VBE to the corresponding change in the base current at constant collector emitter voltage is called input impedance, and this is not constant in the lower region of the curve. And next we are going to see about the output characteristics. For that you have to draw this diagram, that is a VCE along x-axis and IC along y-axis. Here we are taking the right hand side of the circuit diagram, and for different values of IB, first IB is taken as 0, that is base current is kept 0, and base current is 10 microampere, 20 microampere, 30 microampere and 40 microampere. For different values of base current, you have to draw the static characteristic curves. And when you from this graph, you can see that when base current increases, the collector current also increases. And here IC is in milliampere. Usually IB is in microampere and IC in milliampere. That is, if you apply a very small current, it is magnified and is in the form of milliampere. So here we are going to find out the output characteristic curves. So we have to set the base current to a particular value, that is 0, from 0, 10, 20, 30 like that, and you have to draw different graphs for different values of IB, and you have got 4 important regions here. That is, below the curve IB is equal to 0, you are having cutoff region. That is, even if the base current is 0, you are having some collector current. This is due to the minority charge carriers. And this region, that is from origin to the knee voltage. Knee voltage means you know that about knee voltage. That is the point from which the current starts increasing. And this region is called saturation region, and the center portion is called active region. Usually the transistor is operated only at the active region. So this is about the output characteristic curve. And here as I said told you, saturation region is a region at a particular value of VCE. That is, when VC is increased above 0 volt, the IC increases rapidly and reaches saturation value at a particular value of VCE, which is called knee voltage. So the initial part of the curve is called ohmic region because it obeys Ohm's law, and transistors are always operated above this knee voltage. And next we are going to see about what is cutoff region. That is, cutoff region is this portion, that is the area below IB is equal to 0. This is called cutoff region. So here it is because the main collector current is cut off. It is in the off stage. Next, active region. The central region of the curves is called active region. Usually the transistor is operated in this particular active region because transistor is forward biased. Collector base emitter junction is forward biased and collector base junction is reverse biased. And next we shall see about breakdown region. If you increase collector emitter voltage beyond certain value, definitely there will be breakdown takes place in the transistor. This avalanche breakdown can damage the transistor, and this is called breakdown region. And next we are going to see about output impedance. Output impedance RO is given by the formula delta VCE by delta IC, keeping IB constant, and you have to write that in the statement form. The ratio of change in delta usually refers change. So change in collector emitter voltage, the corresponding change to the collector current at constant base current is called output impedance. It is given the symbol RO. RO means output impedance. And so here next we are going to see about current transfer characteristics. This is the graph, and you have to draw the graph between IB and IC. Usually IB is in small quantity, so microampere, and IC is in large quantity, that is in milliampere. You will get a straight line curve like this. That is, when IB is increased, IC also increases, and you have to find out the slope of this curve. This slope will give you current gain. So what is forward current gain? The ratio of change in collector current to the corresponding change in base current at constant collector emitter voltage is called forward current gain, and the symbol is beta. So beta is equal to delta IC by delta IB, keeping VCE constant, and it is usually very high, ranging from 50 to 200. So these are the static characteristic curves drawn for a NPN transistor. And next we are going to see about relation between alpha and beta. Alpha is current gain in common base mode, and beta is the current gain in common emitter mode. So you have to find the relation between them. This is very familiar relation. Alpha is equal to beta by 1 plus beta, and beta is given as alpha by 1 minus alpha. Both alpha and beta, they refers to current gain. Next we are going to see about the operating point, that is where we can operate the transistor efficiently. The point where we can operate the transistor efficiently is called as operating point. For this you take the output characteristic curve, where VC is taken along x-axis and IC along y-axis, and you have to draw a line like this, which is called a DC load line. DC load line is drawn for the point where VC is equal to VCC, and the point where IC is equal to VCC by RC, and VCC is nothing but the supply voltage, and RC is a collector current, collector resistance, and IC is a collector current. And for these points you draw a load line. The load line will touch the output characteristic curves at 3 points, P, Q and R, and usually Q is the most selected point, and Q is otherwise called as quotient point or operating point. So usually we will take the center point, and taking this point as base point, you have to draw any curve taking this as a reference point, and so you have to draw the load line. So a straight line drawn by joining the points at A, that is VCC comma 0, and another point is 0 comma VCC by RC. This is called a DC load line. This is superimposed on the output characteristics of the transistor, and usually the points P, Q, R are called Q points or quotient points. And if the operating point is chosen at the middle of the DC load line, so the transistor can effectively work in this middle point. So you have to take the Q point such that for a transistor to work as open switch, you have to take the Q point in the cutoff region, and for working as a closed switch, the Q point should be chosen in the saturation region. These regions we have studied, the saturation region and cutoff region. And next we are going to see about transistor as a switch. So it can be used as on and off in a given circuit. It acts as a key. It functions like a key, and we shall see how the transistor works as a switch. Suppose if you keep the transistor either in saturation region or in cutoff region, depending on that it will work as on or off, and we shall see how. This is a circuit diagram for transistor as a switch, and you have given the symbol of a transistor: base, collector and emitter. Base is given current IB, and RB is the base resistance, and this is the input you have given 5 volt. If you give 5 volt, you will get the output as 0, and if you give here 0 volt, the output will be 5 volt. So it will work oppositely. So we shall see how. And here when the input is low, suppose if you give 0 volt, this is the input side V in. Suppose if we give 0 volt here, the base current will become 0, and the transistor is not forward biased, so it is in cutoff region. So the collector current is 0, and here when you see across is RC, since the collector current is 0, here there is no voltage drop across RC, and the voltage will appear only at VO. So here it means that no current flows through the transistor and is said to be switched off. Now the current is said, the transistor is said to be as open switch. And suppose when the input is high, that is you are giving 5 volt to the input, then it increases the collector current, so the transistor now will work in the saturation region. So there will be voltage drop across RC, and so maximum current flows through the transistor, and this circuit is set to be switched on. So the transistor will act as a closed switch. Here VO is equal to VCC minus ICRC, and VCC is the power supply you are giving, and IC you know collector current, and RC is collector resistance, and using that you can calculate what is the output now. So from this you can say that the output voltage is opposite to the applied input voltage. If you give high voltage you will get low voltage, if you and vice versa. And so you can work as a NOT gate, and these gates we are going to study in the later part of this chapter. And next we are going to see about transistor as an amplifier. So what is amplifier? If you give a small weak signal, it is converted to strong signal by the amplifier. So amplification is a process of increasing the signal strength, that is we are increasing the amplitude. So these are very helpful in many transformers and multi-stage amplifiers. And next we are going to see about single stage transistor amplifier. That is we are going to get the single stage, and this is a circuit diagram for the transistor as an amplifier. And here you know IB is the base current, and R1 R2 are the resistances used to bias the circuit, that is you are either giving forward bias or reverse bias depending upon the situations. And C1 is the capacitor, so the capacitor will allow only AC signals to pass through them, and RC is a collector resistor, here RE and CE, and along CE it will allow low reactance path to the amplified signal, that is amplified signal will pass through RE very easily if you connect CE across RE, and VO is the output voltage. And here we are going to see about how the transistor work as an amplifier. And so here you have to first select the Q point or operating point, that is you have to take the center point PQR you have seen, and you have to take the center point Q, so it will be neither towards saturation point or towards the cutoff, it should be at the center. So here the resistance R1, R2 and RE form the biasing and stabilization in the circuit. Biasing means either you can give forward bias or reverse bias, and the capacitor CE provides low reactance path to the amplified AC signal, that is the AC signal can easily pass through RE only because of CE. And there is one coupling capacitor, and here this is a coupling capacitor, so you can connect the other stage using this coupling capacitor. So this is a single stage amplifier, you can connect any number of amplifiers using this coupling capacitor. It acts as a chain for the other stages of amplifiers. So this is for coupling between one stage and the other stage. And here you are having collector current IC is given by the formula beta IB. You know beta is current gain. Beta is equal to since beta is equal to IC by IB, the collector current is usually IC is equal to beta IB, and applying Kirchhoff's voltage law, VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC, and you know VCC is the supply voltage and IC collector current, RC is the collector resistance. And next we are going to see about the working of the amplifier during the positive half cycle. When you see this diagram, this is the input AC signal, this is amplified like this. This is output AC signal, and here the positive half here is converted into negative, and negative half into positive half. So actually there is a phase reversal between the input and the output by an angle of 180 degree, and we shall see how now. And first, during the positive half cycle, what happens, the base current increases, so consequently the collector current also increases by beta times. You know beta is the current gain. So voltage drop will takes place across RC, so there will be less voltage across the output because all the voltage will be dropped across RC. And here So the input signal during the positive cycle produces negative half cycle of the amplified signal at the output. So there is a phase reversal of 180 degree. Suppose if you give this wave as the input, you will get this as the output. That is a positive cycle is converted into negative half cycle in the output. And what happens during the negative half cycle? This will decrease the base current because you have given a reverse bias. So like reverse bias, so the current will decrease and in turn it will decrease the collector current. So the voltage drop across RC is very small and you will get the output in the side VO. So here as usual, the input signal during the negative half cycle produces positive half cycle of the amplified signal at the output, and there is a phase reversal of 180 degree. So this is a very weak signal that we are giving, and the transistor will give the amplified signal like this, but in there is a phase reversal of 180 degree. So in this way the transistor works as an amplifier. Next we shall see about transistor as an oscillator. So oscillator means which converts DC into AC. That is the main point. The transistor will convert DC into AC. So it will produce a wave, and we shall see what are the type of waves that are produced. There are two forms, sinusoidal and non-sinusoidal. When you see this diagram, you can see there are four parts, A, B, C and D. AB is a sinusoidal wave, and this is square wave, and this is triangular wave, and this is called a sawtooth wave. So these are the four types of waves that can be formed with a transistor. So these are, you see, triangular form, square form and sawtooth waveform. And depending upon the function, either it can be damped or undamped. Damped means the amplitude will go on decrease. So when you see this first diagram, this is damped oscillation. You see the waveform, the amplitude will decrease and finally reaches the value 0. And here this is the diagram for undamped oscillation, where the amplitude actually refers the height of the wave, and the amplitude will not change, it will remain constant. So these are called damped oscillations and these are called undamped oscillations. So here the amplitude of the electrical oscillations remains constant with the time in the undamped oscillations. And so here we shall see the working of transistor as an oscillator. There are three main components in this: tank circuit, amplifier and feedback network. And this transistor oscillator is a very important component in our TV, radio, etc. So actually this produces a waveform, either sinusoidal or non-sinusoidal. And this is a diagram for block diagram for oscillator. You are having tank circuit, amplifier and the feedback network. The tank circuit actually provides the necessary energy, and amplifier amplifies the signal, and if the signal is not still amplified, it is again given through the feedback network, and so you will get proper amplification after this feedback. And so here this is tank circuit. This is a capacitor and inductor connected in parallel is called tank circuit. This will provide the oscillations. So you will get electromagnetic oscillations using this transistor. So first we shall see about the tank circuit. The LC tank circuit consists of inductance and the capacitor connected in parallel. The energy is stored in inductor and capacitor alternatively, and you will get electrical oscillations of definite frequency. And you know what is amplifier? Amplifier will amplify the weak signal, and so required output is supplied by this amplifier. And even the feedback network, it is used to feed a portion of the output back to the input. That is, a part of output is fed to the input so that you can again increase the amplification. If the part of the output is in phase with the input, then you will get increase in magnitude of the input signal, and this is called positive feedback, and so you can get sustained oscillation. Sustained oscillation means permanent oscillation, that is no damping. And we shall see the working now. So the tank circuit usually generates the electrical oscillations, and it will act as the AC input source to the transistor amplifier. So it will give the waveforms, and these waveforms are amplified and then If it is again weak, it is fed to the tank circuit again. This is called feedback network. So there is some loss in energy because of inductor coils and capacitors due to electrical resistance, and this loss will result in the damped electrical oscillations. So to get undamped oscillation, you have to give positive feedback, and I have told you there are two types of feedback, positive feedback or negative feedback. Usually the positive feedback will improve the input signal. So this will compensate the energy loss in the tank circuit. The frequency is given by the formula F is equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of LC. Here L is the value of inductance and C is the value of the capacitance. These L and C components are in the tank circuit, you know. So the tank circuit actually determines the frequency of the electrical oscillations. And there are some conditions for sustained oscillation. Sustained means a permanent amplitude, that is permanent type of oscillations. Percussion condition is very important. And here what are the three conditions? The first condition, there should be positive feedback, and the loop phase shift must be 0 or integral multiples of 2 pi, that is either 0 or 360 degree, which means output should be in phase with the input during the feedback, and the loop gain must be unity. That is a magnitude of A beta should be equal to 1. Here you know A is voltage gain of the amplifier and beta is the feedback ratio. So here you are getting different types of oscillators: Hartley oscillator, Colpit oscillator, phase shift oscillator and crystal oscillator. And next we are going to see about applications of oscillators. It is used to generate periodic sinusoidal or non-sinusoidal waveforms, to generate RF carriers, to generate audio tones, to generate clock signal digital circuits, and as sweep circuits in TV sets and CRO. These things we are going to see in the later part of this chapter, and these amplifiers and oscillators are very helpful in radio sets, TV sets and CRO. CRO is nothing but cathode ray oscilloscope, which we shall see in the later part of this chapter. Hope you understand, girls.